Because we are celebrating the fact that the Lord chose to come down in human form amidst us. We are celebrating the fact that Bhagwan has given us the blessing and the opportunity to be contemporaries with Him. Bhagwan has given us the opportunity to develop a kinship with Him, to develop a relationship with Him, for us to be able to love God like we love some of our family members. Swami has become family for us. His mother, father, guru, and God. That is what we celebrate. So as we go through our little way of expressing our gratitude to Swami, our gratitude for having this opportunity to have come to know Him, we are going to do our program today is going to consist of, to begin with, a Paduka Puja. Sister Sathya will lead the Paduka Puja for us, and she will tell you a little more. But the most important thing is, as we are doing this Paduka Puja, let us, in our minds, imagine that Swami is sitting in front of us. No one else exists in this world other than us and Swami. It is each one of us sitting in front of Swami. There is, as a symbolic representation, there is a little tray here with a picture of Swami and some yellow rice and a flower. But it is not the tray that you should be seeing. It is not the picture of Swami you should be seeing. Imagine Swami sitting on a nice throne. In our worship, we say, at the beginning of any puja, it is customary to welcome the Lord and offer a seat to that Lord on what we call a Navaratna Khachita Simhasana. It means a throne which is studded with 9 types of precious stones. Imagine that. Swami is sitting on that kind of, because he is the emperor. Nothing less will do. Nothing less than a precious, the most precious stone-studded throne will do for him. He is sitting there in front of us. He is giving us all the time. Let our mind not drift on anything else. Just focus on that Swami. And once we have gone through this Paduka, the worship of his lotus feet. Although we say Paduka Puja, we are actually doing Pada Puja. Paduka is his, like what we call the footwear, the sandals, yes. We are not, yes, the Paduka is a representation of the Lord, so yes, that is also worth worshipping. But in this case, let us imagine we are directly worshipping Swami's lotus feet. Once we have done this, we are going to do the chanting of Sai Gayatri 108 times. When we are doing that, I would request each one of you, sit as back straight as possible at that time. Close your eyes in a meditative mode. That Lord who is sitting in front of you, for whom you have just done that Pada Puja, now focus your mind and attention on that lotus feet. That lotus feet has the capability to redeem us from all our sins and to carry us across this ocean of life. I remember someone like Swami Chinmayananda, whom all of you may have heard of. He said this, just hold on to his feet. Sri Aurobindo said this, along with a lot of respected people who are way more realized than at least I am. I don't know about all of you. They have said, just hold on to his feet. He is the Purna Avatar. I was recently reading someone, there's a lady called Ananda Mahima. I don't know if you have heard of. She said this, apparently, that Sathya Sai Baba is someone who is the Purna Avatara incarnation. This kind of an avatar is not going to happen for at least another 60 centuries. We know that it's not normal and common, it's not an everyday thing that a Purna Avatara happens. That is why we are so blessed and fortunate that we are able to say, I met Swami, I saw Swami, I touched his feet. Now we have the opportunity, even if you didn't do it then, today and now we have this opportunity of worshipping his lotus feet. Because Swami said, and he beautifully said this, Enta matramu neevu talachite, anta matrame nenu. What that means is, as you think of me, so I will become, so I will be. If you think Swami is sitting in front of you, you are sitting in front of Swami, then he will be there in front of you. That is his promise. So after we go through this meditative chanting of the Sai Gayatri, we will then have a panel discussion where some of our very blessed brothers and sisters will share their experiences, will share the various experiences with Swami. Now, why do we talk of experiences? It is not, yes, God is much more than one experience that can be narrated. Sure. But, if I may use that word, which befits this occasion, an occasion where we are celebrating our association with Swami. So, brothers and sisters, let us pray to Swami that He is with each one of us throughout this journey today and always. And let's enjoy the bliss. Jai Sai.
Om Shri Sai, offering my humble pronouns at the divine lotus feet of our God, Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai. We will firstly begin the Padaka Puja with Dhyana. Request all of the devotees to close your eyes and meditate on the divine name. Let us meditate on Swami's form, which we are going to worship, and feel His presence while saying, O Lord Sai, our salutations at your lotus feet. You are the very embodiment of peace and knowledge, truth and bliss. May you be pleased to take thy seat in our hearts at all times. I meditate on the Padakas and the Lord of the Padakas, Lord Sri Sai Ram. We will do the Avahana now. As I say and as we chant, please offer the yellow rice to the Padakas. Also, Ms. Picture that is beautiful. First step is Avahana. Now let us pray and invite the Divine Lord in our heart to come and reside in the image that is being worshipped. Swami, we know you are all-pervading, omnipresent, omnipotent, almighty. Please bless us all to feel your divine presence here today. Inspire us to do these prayers with love and devotion. Please offer the other rice. Asana, offering seed to our beloved Lord. This is done by just touching the Padakas and placing some flowers there. Mentally, visualize Bhagwan is coming and sitting in front of us, placing his lotus feet in those divine Padakas. He is ready to accept all our offerings, which are given out of love. I offer a seed to our dear Lord Sai Ram, the Lord of the Bhajans. Please offer the other. Padma, washing the divine feet of Bhagwan, Washing Swami's feet with the sanctified water, we will have to sprinkle a few drops on the of water on the padukas. We do not have water next to us, so please offer the yellow rice to Swami. Swami, I offer my salutations in water to wash thy lotus feet of Lord Sri Sai Rama, the Lord of the padukas. I am washing the divine hands of Bhagavan. Again, offering water to Swami to wash his hands by sprinkling few drops of water on the padukas. Please offer the yellow rice. I offer my salutations and water to wash the hands of Lord Sri Sai Rama, the Lord of the padukas. Achamani, offering of water to Bhagavan for sipping. Water is offered again for sipping to cleanse and cool the internal organs. Please offer the yellow rice. I offer my salutations and water for cleansing to Lord Sri Sai Rama, the Lord of the padukas. Next is offering Madhurpaka, offering of beverage to Bhagavan. Madhurpaka is a respectful offering of beverage composed of honey, sugar, and milk in a silver vessel. We place a tulsi leaf or a flower petal on the paduka. But please offer the yellow rice in place of Madhurpaka. I offer my salutations and honey drink to Lord Sri Sai Rama, the Lord of the padukas. Snana or Abhisheka, offering of sacred bath to Bhagavan. As I chant, please offer the yellow rice. I offer my salutations and turmeric water to Lord Sri Sai Rama. I offer my salutations and milk to Lord Sri Sai Rama. I offer my salutations and yogurt to Lord Sai Rama. I offer my salutations and panchamritam to Lord Sri Sai Rama. I offer my salutations and honey to Lord Sri Sai Rama. I offer my salutations and tender coconut to Lord Sri Sai Rama. I offer my salutations and fruit juice to Lord Sri Sai Rama. I offer my salutations and rose water to Lord Sri Sai Rama. I offer my salutations and vibhuti to Lord Sri Sai Rama. I offer my salutations and after the holy bath, I offer water for sipping to Lord Sri Sai Rama. The next step is offering vastram or cloth to Swami. I offer my salutations and akshatan in place of cloth to Lord Sri Sai Rama. Next we offer the Yajna or the sacred thread. I offer my salutations and akshatan in place of sacred thread to Lord Sri Sai Rama. Next is Abhranam, offering of mala or ornaments. We can place either a tulsi mala or a spatika mala on the padukas, but we will place the yellow rice now. I offer my salutations and ornaments to Lord Sri Sai Rama. Next, we offer Gandha, offering sandal paste to the earth element of the all-pervading infinite Supreme Lord. I offer my salutations and sandal paste to the earth element of the infinite Lord Sri Sai Rama. Application of kumkum powder. I offer my salutations and turmeric paste kumkum to Lord Sri Sai Rama. Offering of the yellow rice mixed with turmeric powder. I offer my salutations and akshatan to Lord Sri Sai Rama. I offer my salutations and worship to Lord Sri Sai Rama. Now we will do the archanam with Swami's underneath the place. We will begin the Ashtotra now. Om Shri Bhagavan Sathya Sai Babaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Sathya Swarupaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Sathya Dharma Parayana Namaha. Om Shri Sai Varadaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Satyeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Satya Gunapuri Namaha. Om Shri Sai Saviyataraya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Saviyataraya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Sarvadyaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Sarvajanapriyaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Sarvashaktiyoge Namaha. Om Shri Sai Sarveshaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Sarvadharmaparityayage Namaha. Om Shri Sai Sarvatarayage Namaha. Om Shri Sai Vahimatmane Namaha. Om Shri Sai Vahishwara Swarupaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Bhakti Pramodbhavaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Bhakti Kshetrayasine Namaha. Om Shri Sai Yashaktai Shrinivasine Namaha. Om Shri Sai Dhodiyasipani Samapaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Bharatvaja Vishwakaraya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Bhaktavatsalaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Avantaratmane Namaha. Om Shri Sai Avataramurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Sai Sarvabhayanaye Namaha. Om Shri Sai Avantarvasutraya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Abhayapradaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Ratnakarvamshodbhavaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Shri Sai Amritachakravataya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Shankaraya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Shri Sai Murtaye Namaha. Om Shri Sai Bharatavayasine Namaha. Om Shri Sai Chitravati Vartakutapanti Viharane Namaha. Om Shri Sai Shakti Pradaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Sharanagarataraya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Anandaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Anandaraya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Anandaraya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Anandaraya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Asahaya Sahaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Lokamantaraya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Lokarakshamaraya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Lokanataya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Dīvadaramošanaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Murtitrayasvarupaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Muktiprayaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Kaushaliyaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Karunakaraya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Sarvadharaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Sarvabhayasine Namaha. Om Shri Sai Sampurnapradaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Sarvamapkshekaraya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Sarvamangalaye Namaha. Om Shri Sai Sarvamangalaye Namaha. Om Shri Sai Anantapurtakartane Namaha. Om Shri Sai Adipushaye Namaha. Om Shri Sai Adishaktaye Namaha. Om Shri Sai Aparipashaktiye Namaha. Om Shri Sai Abhyaparipane Namaha. Om Shri Sai Bhavatmurvamsiye Namaha. Om Shri Sai Kartamurvayane Namaha. Om Shri Sai Adbhutacharyaye Namaha. Om Shri Sai Aparpatavaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Prematmane Namaha. Om Shri Sai Premamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Sai Premapradaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Priyaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Bhaktapriyaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Bhaktabhandaraya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Bhaktajanapuraya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Bhaktajanapuraya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Bhaktaparinaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Bhaktivyanaprayaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Bhaktivyanaprayaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Siddhyanavardanashakaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Jnanasvarupaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Gītāpavakaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Jnanasiddhiyaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Sundarayogaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Punyabhusharaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Dhanapradaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Purushottamaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Puranapurushaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Patitaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai Kalanitaya Namaha. ओम श्री साई सिद्धिरूपाय नमः। ओम श्री साई सिद्ध संकल्पाय नमः। ओम श्री साई आनंदप्रदाय नमः। ओम श्री साई धर्मवत्सलाय नमः। ओम श्री साई संसार दुःखक्षयकराय नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वाभीष्टप्रदाय नमः। ओम श्री साई कल्याणगुणाय नमः। ओम श्री साई कर्मध्वंसिने नमः। ओम श्री साई साधुनाथशक्तियाय नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वभूतसम्पदाय नमः। ओम श्री साई साधुनाथदेशाय नमः। ओम श्री साई साधनाविद्याविक्षप्रतिष्ठापकाय नमः। ओम श्री साई सकल संशयहराय नमः। ओम श्री साई सकल तत्त्वज्ञानाय नमः। ओम श्री साई योगीश्वराय नमः। ओम श्री साई योगीन्द्रवन्दिताय नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वमङ्गलकराय नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वसिद्धिप्रदाय नमः। ओम श्री साई दापनिवारणे नमः। ओम श्री साई भक्तिप्रदाय नमः। ओम श्री साई शान्तमूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री साई सुरवत्सलाय नमः। ओम श्री साई भगवान् श्री सत्य साई बाबाय नमः। ओम शांति शांति शांति। This concludes the Sathya Sathya. Now we will chant Sai Gayatri 108 times. सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः 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 सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः
सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे 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 सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ 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 साईश्वराय 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 विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति।
Om Shri Sairam, my humble pronounce on the lotus feet of our dearest Lord. Respected elders, my dear brothers and sisters, and dear children, Sairam. Today we express our love and gratitude for the grace, guidance, and blessings that we've been receiving from Swami, and we will continue to receive. Let's remember today that Swami said this multiple times. I'm always in you, around you, and with you. You may leave me, but I will never leave you. I will deliver you to your destination, which is knowing oneself. A very warm welcome to all our panelists today. We have Sister Vidya, Sister Sutopa, Brother Satish, and Brother Dinesh. Sairam to everyone. Today we will start with sharing each of their experiences of how do they deal with not having Swami's physical presence at the moment, and how have they coped since Swami left his physical form. Vidya, can we start with you? Sairam. I thought today would be a good opportunity for me to speak, perhaps on behalf of the youth or the younger generation in the crowd, because I think we are maybe not as fortunately blessed to have spent as long a time with Swami's physical presence as some of the others. So I think it is safe to say that a lot of us grew up in this household and we've been here all our lives, and this is what we do and what we know. So when Swami did leave his physical presence, it was hard for us because we didn't know anything else. I think at least from a personal experience, it was a shift because it was all that I knew, all that my brother and my sister knew, and all our friends, all that we grew up in. So it was a change, and I think in that sense, when we talk about Aradhana Day, it first started as thinking about what Swami meant to us and how his presence what it meant to us, but also I think it slowly turned into a celebration of who Swami is and what his message meant to all of us, and to me in particular. So I think in terms of coping, it was the first few years. I think it was a change. It was, I wouldn't say, it was overly difficult because we always had Swami walking with us, but it was definitely a change. Like, I think I felt like, can I still fall back on this? Is this something that I still, is it still the same? It was like the ground shook a little bit underneath me. But as the years went on and how we coped after that, I think I sort of realized that this is it. This is how we put his message into practice, his life, and all his teachings into what we do every single day. I think that's how I did. Brother Village.
Saram, everyone. This solemn occasion of Aradhana Day and what it means individually to each of us, I'm sure is very unique. And just to your question in terms of personally how I took it, and Swami's physical absence, and from then since on, I think in my personal own experience, Swami pretty much prepared me to kind of be ready for this event that would eventually happen. And the reason I say that is because I would like to narrate this episode that happened in 2006. So there was a drama put up by the 11th class students of primary school, higher secondary school, and they had put up a drama on life of Shirdi Sai. And there is one episode in Shirdi Sai Baba's life where Shirdi Sai Baba gives up his physical self for 3 days. He goes into samadhi. That scene was being played, and just when that scene ended, Swami asked me and my younger boy next to Swami to take him to the interview. So we went to the interview. Swami had a glass of water. Swami was really emotional. And then Swami said, Shirdi Sai Baba came back after 3 days. Sathya Sai Baba won't. Now this was year 2006. It was out of the blue. Both of us were shell shocked to hear that from Swami. And all we wanted to say, Swami, what are you saying? But we just had to keep quiet because this was that truth that had just come out. All of a sudden. We were not prepared. Swami just linked one episode and he just mentioned this. But since that day, he had sowed that seed that there will be this time that will come. All this while when he was saying that focus and move from the form to the formless, it didn't really appear or didn't really feel like doing that because we were so much in love with Swami's physical self that going from form to formless was not even a question, was not even a thought. But that day when he mentioned that, it sowed the seeds of starting to think about what will eventually happen. And the reason I say that is when Swami individually prepared us, me and then everyone as well, is if you see towards the end, we started seeing Swami not coming for, let's say, the morning darshan, or maybe some days, some consecutive days, Swami not coming. Now, Swami not coming for even a single darshan was a news back in the 80s and the 90s. But Swami not to come slowly, gradually, not skipping darshans, prepared us for that time that will eventually come when Swami will not be there in the physical self, but he will be there in his omnipresent self. And I guess that really was a great example of a master really preparing his disciples for the future to come. So I think I would take that Swami, even in this episode or event, which is so very personal to all of us, also prepared us for it before he left physically.
Thank you, Brother Village. Brother Satish, you must have seen Swami, but maybe in Sundaram, you want to share how it has been since then and how you cope
So as Brother Divij put, Swami has been preparing us for a while. So I remember in my going to birthday, when there was no cycle and all, and then running around as a kid from the sands of Prashanti Nilayam to cycle and then getting into Sundaram Bhajan group. So you got to see Swami in physical form for so many years. But you also gradually, as Brother Divij said, he's been preparing us. So you see Swami walking very fast and then slowing down, and then you see him on the wheelchair. I think Swami, when you sit on the darshan row, see Swami's feet also slightly swollen. You could see some blood stains sometimes. And then I'm coming back to how Swami has been preparing us. So you feel so sorry for Swami to take the pain to come out for us all for darshan, and then you pray, Swami, why do you strain yourself? Why don't you just relax, stay in, and then take rest? So then he has come out for us all to have his darshan. And as Brother Devi said, it's been gradually coming down. And this organization that Swami has built is a Sathya Sai Seva organization, the spiritual organization. And as individuals, my learning has been, since being a Balavikas kid and growing up, is to transform within from form to formless. So when you feel that Swami is gradually decreasing, or that darshan, sparshan and sambharshan has been slowly coming down, it is also a process within that I felt that you need to prepare yourself for formless. So yes, Swami has said this is when he is going to go leave his physical form, and what that's again an indication that I have been preparing myself um, to continue life without Swami's physical presence.
Thank you, Brother Siddiq. It's a very beautiful. Like the other panel members, I also feel that Swami prepared me personally. And the way I feel this is because when I was studying in Anantapur, all of those years, I was a young teenager. Swami took the place of the parent, the physical parent. He was the provider. He provided the food, he provided the shelter, he provided the clothing and everything else that comes with it. When I left the college and I came back to the UK and I was living here, that was the first step change where I had to adjust to the fact that Swami was not always there in his physical form, and I developed what we all know now, which is that connection overseas, but he still feels with us all the time. What I'm particularly happy about is that Swami left his physical form in 2011, and from 2005 to 2010, for some reasons I couldn't travel to Pushparthi. And I had no idea that Swami was going to leave his physical form. Had I known, I would have been racing back and forth on any flight, any opportunity I could have got. But in 2010, suddenly it was arranged that I should go to Prashant. Of course I was happy. The doors all opened, the blocks fitted in my mind. And I had a beautiful 3 weeks looking at Swami. And I remember my very last darshan with Swami, which I didn't know was my last darshan. And I was sitting somewhere at the back, and he was going back after the evening bhajan. And he turned and he stared at me over the heads of so many people. And of course the very next year he left his body. When he left his body, my mind immediately went back to the fact that Swami had called me there for my last physical darshan. Since he's left his body, of course, I have now realized that Swami is very, very, very much with us, 100%. And even yesterday, my brother was saying he feels more Swami now than actually when Swami was in his physical form. Also, this year I went to Shivratri again. It was very last minute. I was there for 48 hours. And I had such a charged experience. I met so many people, I did so many things, I stayed at Fishing Craft. It was all a complete miracle. And it very much tells me this form is very much, has left his physical form, but is very, very much with us still.
I'd just like to end our first topic with saying, Swami has moved from Yajur Mandir, his former residence, to our Hriday Mandir, that is the temple of our hearts. So he is always with us. Now, next we're going to talk about three topics which all of us can relate to, and the first one is love. So I'm just going to ask panelists to share, what does Swami's love mean to them? How do they try and practice love? It's not easy. Swami says love all serve all, but we know at the moment when somebody is not nice to us, somebody is rude to us, it's not very easy. So we'll start with Brother Dinesh.
Since you mentioned Mahotsavam, yesterday we were in this regional Aradhana Day celebrations and we had a play. And there was an episode narrated from a life of a Bhajans student. So this Bhajans student goes to his class and the first quote that he learns about Bhagwan is love also. It's so universal, so simple, but he is not able to come to terms as to how do I love also. So his teacher tells him that do you believe Swami is in you? And he says, yes, I do believe Swami is in you. He says, can you see Swami is in you? He says, no, I can't. Do you still believe that Swami is in you? He says, yes, I still believe Swami is in you. That's exactly what you have to tell yourself. That if Swami is in you, even though you can't see him, Swami is in others too. And it so happens that the very next day, in his school assembly, there is this boy who is very rude to him. And he is hurt, obviously, because he didn't expect him being rude to him, to this boy. So he feels that instant rage and he feels like telling him off. But then that minute, for some strange reason, he remembers this discussion that he had with his guru in the Sunday Bhagavad class. And he stops from reacting and he just smiles at him. And believe me, this is what the student said, like this was a speech that he was giving. And he said that that boy becomes my best friend. He's never rude to me from that day. That one episode of just thinking that Swami is in the other person as well helped this boy to implement love on serve all to that extent. Was such a great learning for all of us. But talking about love, sister, there was this again an incident that I would like to recollect, and it was the MBA alumni meet. So Bhagwan had for the very first time asked all his MBA students right from the first batch, to come to Prashanti with their families. So this had never happened before. When alumni meets used to happen, it used to just be students, but this time it was with family. So there was this episode where Swami was in the Bhajan hall and Swami was blessing everyone. And Swami was very emotionally charged because he had seen boys from the first batch. He had started seeing their families and he was recollecting some incidents and episodes from those days. So it was a very emotionally charged session. And after the session, Swami went to the interview room. And then Swami was very emotional. And I told Swami that Swami, the boys that joined your university and the faith that they brought in their lives not only got them into this journey, but also their families into the journey. Because that was the big step, to get the families in. But many a time, Swami, people also ask for experience to get that faith. So what comes first? And I was really wanting that, Swami either lead towards faith or Swami leaders experience. And that will be like the basis for the belief. But then Swami said, Bhagadu, love comes first. If you have love, faith will automatically come. And if there is faith, Swami said, an experience is bound to come. And that's how he kind of formed that journey. That just have that love and everything else will follow.
Would you like to expand when Swami says, I give you the love of 1,000 mothers? How have you felt and experienced that in life?
Yes, Swami actually said this to a classmate of mine when she was joining another before, and she was from England as well.
And he said to her, I will give you the love of 1,000 mothers. And that was the first time I heard the expression straight from Swami's mouth. What it means for me is that when we experienced firsthand the love Swami gave us when we were in the hostel, he would send food, he would arrange for, well, he paid for all my education, so I don't know what a student loan is because we never had one, I never needed one. When you think of how much Swami has done as a student, when I think of that, then for me, Swami was very much my mother and my father. He took the place of my physical mother and father. Of course, I was lucky enough to still have them at home as well. But since leaving the college, I think that's when the impact has really hit me, that what this love means. Swami says he's like the eyelid that protects the eye. And as the years have gone on, even though he's very much sometimes in the background, and I'm ashamed to admit that sometimes I'm so busy with my work. I work for the NHS and, we're working long hours, and I'm sure all of you can relate to this, Even though in the morning I wake up, I say, good morning, Swami, and I say it last thing at night. But during the day, sometimes I'm tearing around. I'm not thinking of him all the time. However, there is a however, because slowly over the years, firstly, whenever I have a very, very difficult challenge in my life, the one that springs to mind is when I was the victim of fraud. So somebody accessed my bank account in 2020 when I was trying to buy a property. I'd drawn down the mortgage funds, they were in my account, and they were sitting in my account waiting for the exchange and completion. It was a large amount of money, it wasn't mine, it was the bank's. And somebody managed to access my account and draw down all of those funds very, very quickly. Before I knew it, I lost nearly 50,000, which was not my money, it was for the property purchase. When I contacted lawyers, they took me through a very bland survey and said, we're sorry, there's nothing we can do about it. So I literally didn't know what to do. I was sitting in the library from morning till evening the next day, ringing. I was determined that I had to somehow get somebody to listen to me, that this money has to be refunded to me from somewhere. That night, Swami came in a dream. He had not come in my dream for maybe 10 or 12 years. Literally. Even when he was in his physical form, he didn't used to come in the later years. But that night, Swami came in my dream. I didn't even think of Swami. He just came in my dream and he blessed me. The next day I came to work, I was still distraught. And by lunchtime, I was in a meeting room calling Lloyd's again. And suddenly I got through to somebody who said, Madam, we're very, very sorry. You've been a victim, beneficiary fraud. Somebody has accessed your account and he took me through it. But his tone was completely different. Needless to say, I got all the money back. So for me, Swami's love is really like the eyelid that protects the eye. You may not see him, you may not think about him, but he will never give us up. And for me, that is what Swami's love is.
I'd like to share a short story that my Bible class teacher told me a long time ago about Sage Narada and Lord Vishnu. And the story stuck with me. I'll tell it first. So one day Sage Narada was going around the world as he does, and he met a devotee who was meditating under a very, very large tree. And the devotee greeted him and said, Sage Narada, when are you going to Vaikuntha? Because will you tell Lord Vishnu that I have been meditating for such a long time and I would really love his darshan? So Sage Narada said, okay, and he went, and when he reached Lord Vishnu, he passed this devotee's message on to him, and Lord Vishnu told him, okay, go back and tell the devotee, I will give you darshan after he has meditated for the same number of years that there are leaves on the tree. So then Sage Narada went back to the devotee and he was like, oh goodness, this is such a large tree, why couldn't you have picked a smaller tree to meditate under? And the devotee asked him, but what did the Lord say? And he said that he will come and give you darshan after you have spent the amount of years as the same number of leaves. And when the devotee heard that, he was in ecstasy, in complete joy. And Sage Narada was like, oh, okay, this is great news. But that joy and that ecstasy was so great that Lord Vishnu came down at that exact moment and gave him darshan. So Sage Narada was very confused and a little bit annoyed, and he said, I told this devotee that
you would come only after a certain number of years, and now you are here. I mean, it looks like I didn't keep my word. And Lord Vishnu said, that love that devotee had for me, even knowing that he would have to take years and years and years to receive my darshan, that love, upon hearing that he would receive my darshan, called me to come and bless him right away. And so this story stuck with me, I think, but I must have been 10 when I first heard it. And the point that my Bhagavad teacher was trying to get across was, your love for Swami, he will give back to you 1,000-fold. And I think this is something that we've heard so many times. But this story really stuck with me because I thought, if that person can just have that faith and that love, Swami will, that Lord Vishnu came to him instantly, then so can I. And I think, Sister Gauri, you were right. It's hard to practice sometimes. Constantly practicing love is difficult. And I think one thing that I have tried to make improvements on in terms of love and seeing Swami in everybody is when I make judgments, especially with other people, I try and say, okay, no, Swami is in them. Therefore, let me rethink my thinking. And sometimes I tell Swami, when I talk to him, I say, oh, Swami, I didn't judge that person. It's like, oh, good.
Wonderful. That's a lovely story. Thanks, Vidya. Brother Satish, you want to share your experiences of Hyderabad Swami's love and repeating?
Yeah, probably not to the extent of what brother and sister said. It's again a process. I feel when you're a kid, you don't realize the term love. What we all realize now, or probably still in the process of realizing that. It's my first memory is Swami will love you if you sing bhajans. So as a kid, you've been told certain things, and that, like Sister Vidya said, some things, these things stick to your mind. So you keep your, as Swami says, start the day with love, spend the day with love. I used to think Swami should have said, start the day with bhajan, spend the day with bhajan, and end the day with bhajan. So you are growing in a household where it's just bhajans, and those days there was no mic, so you have to shout for people to listen and be flip through you. So that's how you learn, you grow up. The term love for Swami was different. Swami loves bhajans, so we sing bhajans, and that's how you grow. And then as you hit a stage in your life, then you realize what Swami's love is and your love for Swami is. And that's how I started first understanding about Swami's love, or the verbatim of love, or the real meaning of love. I'm still trying to experience.
Thank you. Brother Gulati, do you want to share your thoughts, please?
One day I was in the interview, and we are a group of 18 gents, and it was a family kind of interview. Our group leader, Jim Popat, had said, keep two questions uppermost in your mind. If you're lucky, he will look at you. So anyway, my turn came and he just looked at me, and I had a couple of questions which he had already answered. And so I said, Swami, shall I buy my own practice? So he said, emphatically, yes, and I'll help you. Some years later, a practice came on the market. I remember the date was a Wednesday, and next day, Thursday, I was meant to hold the program, but I was 1 day late. So on Friday, I ringed him, and he said, Mr. Shah will be the 18th person to view the practice. So I knew it would have been sold by then. So I said, anyway, give me a date, I will still view it. So I wanted to know what's in the market. And I said, if there's a cancellation, let me know. About a couple of hours later, he rings me and he said, can you go on this Tuesday? So I said, yes, fine. So he gave me an appointment of 7:30, and I was there at 7:15. He opens the door, the vendor opens the door, and he said, I'm still waiting for the 7 o'clock appointment to come. And I said, okay, I'll wait outside. And then after 5 minutes, he said, it looks like he's not coming. Come and view the practice. And I looked at the booth, the equipment, and everything. And most of the boxes were ticked. So I said, yeah, it's fine. And so I said, what are you looking for from the buyer? They said, I'm just looking for the full asking price. And I knew after 3 or 4 days he would have at least shown quite a few people. So I said, okay, I'm happy to offer the price. So he said, yes, fine, then you take it. I said, I was number 18. He said, no, I didn't show the practice to anybody over the weekend. The 7 o'clock person didn't come, so you are the first one. And he just took my offer and I just bought it. And that's how Swami serves.
Sorry, everyone. When we talk about love and so on, there's one experience that comes to my mind. So this happened in 79 and early 80s, I guess. So there were a group of 25 people, and they wanted to bring Swami down, as in they wanted to poison Swami, and they thought they could finish Swami. So what they planned is, in those days there used to be this handkerchief seva. So all of them used to have handkerchiefs and then offer it to Bhagwan when he came on the darshan grounds. And Swami used to wipe his face and throw the handkerchief at them. And they used to take it back, put it in the puja room and have it for them. So that was like a blessing. So these 25 people, group of 25 people, they prepared and they put slow poison in each of their handkerchiefs which they were about to offer to Swami. They came for the darshan. Meanwhile, Ishwaramba was notified. Mother Ishwaramba, she went to Swami and she said, Swami, don't accept anything that people give you. People might try and poison you, or they might do something, some evil, they might cast evil eye. Don't just accept anything from anybody. Swami wouldn't listen. Swami knew everything. He then retorted and he said, Ishwaramba, to Mother Ishwaramba, he said, no, I will take care. You don't worry. And then Swami was going on in the rounds. These 25 people, they were seated such that wherever Swami was going by, at least one of them, they had a chance to give the handkerchief to Swami. And then, mind you, the kerchief had the slow poison in it. And then, luckily, one of them succeeded, out of the group, one of them succeeded. Swami wiped his face with the handkerchief and he threw it back. And then everybody was signaling, all the 25 people, yes, plan success. They were all doing thumbs up, everything. Swami just smirked at them and then he said, okay, how many of you? He asked. 25, Swami. Okay, come. He granted them interview. He asked everyone to come to the interview room. All the 25 of them, they went inside the interview room. Swami showered just love. He just blessed them with laddus, with vibhuti. He said, how is everyone at home? How is this person? How is that person? To each and every one in that group. And those 25 people, they didn't know how to react to Swami's love because they were just, in immense love, so much love Swami showered that they all started crying. And the person who gave the handkerchief, he went and told Swami, I'm so sorry, I poisoned your handkerchief, and the kerchief that I gave you is with slow poison. Please take medicine immediately. This is not right. And he just fell at Swami's feet and he started crying profusely. And Swami said, I know, not this. Don't worry. I know that you had slow poison in that handkerchief. Just don't worry. In spite of knowing that the kerchief was poisoned, because it was offered to him, Swami just took it and then he just wiped it and then threw it back at him. But Swami said, I will take care. Do not have that guilt where you have given me poison. Don't worry. Swami came come. And he made sure that he showered love and all the 25 of them went home with so much of gifts and so much of prasad from Swami. And each one of them, they started doing seva, Swami's service in their place. So that's how Swami's love is. So for us, it's like a living example. Swami, through his life, he has told us how to, if somebody is acting negatively towards you, how should we behave towards them? We should show more love. double the love, that we want to. So that's the small thing that I wanted to share. Sathya.
So moving on to our next topic, love and faith are present in you. What you have to do is turn towards God. Then work will be transformed into worship. Whatever you do, consider it as God's work. Consider every form that you see as the form of God. So I would like to ask a few questions to our panelists on faith. Vidya, if you want to talk about faith and surrender, how do they go together and how do you practice it in your daily life?
I think sometimes when we talk about surrender, at least I used to think that it meant surrendering is a big word, it's a big thing. But I've slowly come to realize that you can surrender every day, just the little things, to make sure that Swami is with you every day. One phrase that I really like and I say to myself, or I rather say to Swami all the time is, walk with me, my Lord, your hand in mine. It's a line from a song, and I say it quite a lot, walk with me, my Lord, your hand in mine. And I remember once I was in Bangkok for work, and I went out to eat or something like that. I came back to the hotel, and on my walk back, I could see someone following me, not in a good way, in one of those ways. And I thought, okay, I'll reach the hotel and I will speak to the receptionist and ask if, for them to help me. This man followed me into the hotel, and I went to the receptionist and I said, look, there's someone following me. I think, can you ask him to leave? And she said, no, he might be a guest. I was like, okay, can you come up with me to my floor? And she said, no, I can't because I'm the only one on the desk. And I was like, okay. So I went back to sat down in the lounge with the chairs. And he sat a few chairs away from me. And I'm panicking because I'm by myself, I'm alone. It's not a good situation. It wasn't one of those pleasant things. And I thought, okay, so now what? Like, what am I going to do? So I stood up and I went to the toilet, and he stood up, and then he thought I was going to the lift. I went to the toilet, and he obviously did not follow me back there. And that's when I realized, okay, he's following me wherever I'm intending to go, and that's when the fear kind of set in, because I was alone, and I thought, okay, let me just wait for the next guest. But what happens if the next guest comes and we're on different floors and all three of us are in the lift together, and it was just complete, like, I panicked. I really did panic. So I sat down and I thought, okay, this is when I was like, I was close to tears. I thought, Swami, I don't know what to do. You just save me from this. So I sat for about 5 minutes, and this lady came in, and she came up to me and she said, you're going upstairs? And I said, yes. And then she said, walk with me. And I thought, oh, okay, because that phrase is constantly in my mind. She said, walk with me. And so I said, okay, so we both went to the lift, and the man followed us, 3 of us in the lift. I pressed the floor, he pressed the floor higher than me, and we're waiting for the lady to press the floor, and she said no. So she followed me up into my floor, followed me all the way into the room. The man is just walking behind us, doing I don't know what. So there's 3 of us all on the floor. She followed me all the way into the room, into my door, and then she let me in, and she said, okay, I will go downstairs and I will tell reception. And then I locked myself into the room, and I was just a mixture of like gratefulness and just prayer, because who is this lady? Where did she come from? She said the phrase that I say to Swami quite a lot. That's the only way that I knew, okay, I'm going to trust this lady, because anything could have happened. She could have gone to the first floor. I would have been stuck in the lift with this man. And then later on I realized when she asked me, you are going upstairs, she didn't ask me. She told me, you are going upstairs. It wasn't a question. She didn't say, are you going upstairs? She said, you are going upstairs. That's when I realized, okay, when you surrender it, Swami will come and help you. There's no doubt about it. And I think I'm conscious of the time, but just one more thing I wanted to share was, these are like, obviously I was quite traumatized by that event. But even in the everyday life, the little things that you do, if you surrender,
Swami will be there for you. I remember we took a trip down to Merchant for Bhajans once. I think Pranav and Lavini were in the car with me, and my car battery light came on. And I'm terrible with cars. I don't know anything or what to do or nothing. So I thought, okay, well, I have to get this fixed somehow. And then they were like, well, if you switch the engine off and it might not switch back on again if the battery light's on. I was like, oh my goodness, okay. So we went for the budget. And during the budget, they told me, I know nothing about cars. You take care of this, please. And after the budget, there was a talk. And the auntie who gave the talk, she was saying, leave everything to Swami. He will recharge your battery. And after the talk, Lari and I looked at each other and we were like, And then we went back to the car. The light was off. I've never had an issue with my battery ever since. So it's just those things that, we don't have to wait for big moments to surrender to Swami, I feel. Just every day, just give everything up to him and he will take care. I can't complain. I've been blessed.
Brother Divij, I remember as a kid, Swami stressed a lot on foundation with self-confidence. Yeah, he said if you have confidence in yourself and you have confidence in God, your life will be so much more simpler. And I know that because of many schools nowadays is, just be the best version of yourself. So how do self-confidence and faith go together, and what does it mean to you and any experiences you want to share this time, please?
Sure, sister. And I think while Sister Vidya was talking about faith, the relationship between us, Swami, and that faith in between, is that like kind of a game? Swami will want to see how much can he stretch, and then it is up to us, whether we flip the switch or we keep our faith and that surrender concept, right? Like we once we have surrendered, we keep the faith, we hang on, and then there is this moment where someone will lift you from the trough and you're back, right? So the way it connects with self-confidence, and there's this again, I'd like to share this experience, which connects self-confidence and faith. So this was in my first year postgraduate. Swami had just started talking to me. Now, with Swami, in that phase, when Swami just starts talking regularly, you come across that period where suddenly he'll start making things appear as though Swami has just taken birth only for yourself. The amount of importance that he starts giving, it would literally, to an extent that no one else matters in the world, it's only you. And the human mind starts expecting more and more from the Lord. So there was at the university we used to play cricket, like any other sport, and there was a match. There was a final match that was going. That was about to be played. I play cricket, so to that extent that one of the afternoons when Swami was there and sitting on his chair, he called me and he asked me, Amy, what's the news today? So I tell Swami that Swami, this Sunday there is a match at the Hillview Stadium, and if you can come and watch, it will be really great. This is what the mind expects, right? Like when you start, your Swami has to solve world's problems, but you are thinking that he'll come and watch the match. The last match that he watched in person was 1997 when there was a Unity Cup that happened with Prashant. And I was expecting that, I can tell Swami and then maybe Swami is. So Swami very beautifully said, Bangaru, I would have loved to come, but this Sunday, important delegate meeting is happening. So a very important VIP is coming. He made the individual, but I don't recollect who that individual was. And that is why I have to spend some time with him. If I come for your match, then he will not be happy. And it's a very important meeting. So he so nicely said this. But then he saw the disappointment on my face as he was saying these things. So he said, but don't worry. Swami's blessings are there and you will do well. Now these are the words he said. So obviously the word spread around because so my team knew that Swami was talking to me and the fact that Swami blessed this morning. So our team was on 7th heaven with an approved expectation that the match is going to be up. So we go, we play, we start playing, and it was a 2 innings match. There was a difference for the people over here who appreciate cricket, or I guess possibly in very brief manner say what the rules were. In a single day, we played 2 innings. You come and play twice in order to win the game. So the first innings, I go out there, and the very fourth ball I face, I'm batting out there, and I get ruled out leg before wicket. So you're out. So basically your leg stuck, block the ball in front of the stumps, and you are declared out. And that walk back from the ground to the pavilion was one of the most embarrassing walks that I ever had. With an expectation as to my teammates thinking that, hey, he's someone spoke to you this morning, and he said he's blessing you well, and what's this? Now, what happens is at lunchtime, so between the 2 innings we had a lunch break, and I go back to the hostel, and I go to my toilet, and I'm literally crying. Because it was more than anything, it was embarrassing. It was like, Swami, you told me this, that, and I had the confidence. And Swami had blessed me, said that he wait, what is this, Swami? And then we go back to the ground for the second innings, and then there's a target that we had to chase in 20-25 overs. And this time around, I end up being the highest scorer for my team, and we win the game comfortably. So that evening, after the match gets over, we go to the darshan. Swami comes. Swami has already spoken during the interview to this particular gentleman who was to come and meet Swami. And then after the interview gets over, Swami comes out for Bhajans. In the Bhajan hall, Swami calls me. So I go to Swami, and Swami asks me, what happened? I said, Swami, your grace, we won the match. Thank you so much, Swami. But पहली बार तुम आउट हो गए, क्या हुआ? So he asked me that question. Now I didn't know what I had to say. Do I have to give a technical response? What happens on me when I was playing that? Or was it the spiritual question actually? The message that Swami had told you, that Swami had prayed through you. You cannot lose the faith. You have to trust on your self-confidence and the surrender that you have given to Swami. And then Swami will take care of the rest. You cannot. So this is the thing that I wanted to bring out of this episode was that once we have that faith, once we have decided that yes, Swami is going to take care, then there is no looking back. We have to take it all the way to the end and not flinch because Swami is going to take care of it. That was a great learning. A small incident, but it was a great learning to kind of teach me at that stage as a university student that Swami is always with you. You just have to rely on your own self-confidence and then the faith that you have entrusted in him.
Sister Sathya, we would like to touch upon how faith and patience go together. Like as Brother David said, if you have faith, you have to believe in His timing. It is, not meant now, but it's meant at the right time. Which at that moment we don't feel that. How do you sort of deal with that?
So I think all of us are familiar with that feeling that in your life you have a plan. It may not be a very detailed plan, but we all have aspirations, we all have desires, we all want certain success. Maybe a family with beautiful children who grow up to be professionals and serve the society, maybe a happy harmony in the marriage, and maybe that you want to be professional in your career, you want to travel, etc. And I think what I've learned personally is Swami. So I maybe shared here before that when I was in my college, when I was joining Anantapur, my mother was quite distraught leaving me there, and she managed to get an interview with Swami, but never before had she come face to face with Swami, so she couldn't articulate herself, she was a little awestruck. And Swami went through the interview, there was a small group of ladies, and he didn't look at her even once. And right at the end, and all the way through, she was praying about me, saying, Swami, I leave my daughter, she doesn't know anything about India, please look after her. And at the end, when the interview was over, my mother stood up, Swami said, take namaskar, and then he said, I'm going to look after your daughter, don't worry. So, the reason I mention that, of course, it's a very sweet memory from there, and I've sharing. At that moment when I heard that, I felt so great, so happy, so wonderful. Oh yeah, my whole life, Swami's going to look after me. Little did I know what that meant, because essentially what Swami was saying is, I'm going to look after you. That's all you need to remember. So patience is something. You know the saying, Bodhi, patience is all the strength that man needs. I often think about that. Patience is all the strength you need. If you can have patience, you have everything. And what I've learned is that things may not come on time with your plan. They may not come. They may not come at all. Swami said to my mother, I'm going to look after your daughter, don't worry. It's the don't worry that's important. Who knows what's in store? Where I am now, I never believed. I had a plan. What's happened now is nothing like that. But I am blessed. I'm looked after. I'm happy and content. And so the point I think for me is with patience. If things are not coming according to your plan, surrender for Sister because that's the key. Ultimately, Swami's plan is bigger than our plan. Man proposes, God disposes. But also, distraction is a beautiful tool. Because when you're waiting for things and you're waiting, you're getting frustrated. The Swami has given us his center, Swami has given us Bhajans and Narayan Seva. I say Narayan Seva because that's the Sanskrit term we use, but all it is really is helping each other. At work, connecting with your colleagues, feeling their pain, and serving them in any which way you can, whether it's listening, whether it's advising, whether it's going out and giving food to the homeless. All of these ways are such a good way to feel positive. I would share another experience of where Swami is actually when I was very depressed in Anantapur. I was going through a bad semester. Just a friendship thing. You know what teenagers, how we are, we get attached to friends and then they move on. Swami came to the grounds in Prashantanilya. I was doing Narayan Seva because that's what we've been called to do. It was during the 63rd birthday. Swami came suddenly, his car stopped. And all the villagers, the local villagers were asking me for food. I was serving this rice. And I wanted to stop and look at Swami, but there was no chance because the villagers were Amma, Amma. So I was just having to serve and to serve and to serve. And in that moment, Swami stood a few feet away and just watched me. And I couldn't even stand up straight and fold my hands because they were calling for food. The lesson I learned here is in that moment, I just forgot all the pain, all the temporary pain, the passing cloud, the emotional trauma of losing a friendship. I was engrossed in the seva. So I think patience is helped if we helpfully distract ourselves with good things, and that helps us to fall in line with God's kingdom.
Brother Satish, if you want to touch on faith and discipline, how do they go together?
Yeah, again, I go back to as a kid when you are growing up, you start, say, be singing bhajans or attending any bhajan related or sai related activities. You must start with some element of fear, because your parents ask you to do it, you have to do it. Yeah, those days things were different. Your dad looks at you and you are like, so you need to be careful. So that, again, now it's completely different. And my son is looking at me. So it's a process. Love, it's a process. It's not that hey, I want faith, I just put a switch on and then it's just not glowing or whatever. So it is a process, and for every individual, it's very subjective. It takes a short amount of time for some. For some, it takes longer duration. So you start with an element of again, just to equate it to if you're in a lights and you're driving, and then you respect all these rules and regulations. To start with, okay, you need to get a license. You're trying to not pay fine or lights are flashing out. I mean, over a period of time, it just becomes a discipline that you're used to it. So there are some discipline that we need to follow for things to sink in, and that becomes natural in us. So it's a process. So that way, growing up and following some strict guidelines, Swami's laid out disciplines, 9-point code of conduct, or things that are being taught in Baldikas, uh, start the day with prayer, be it was predestined or finish it with Karacharanatam, as you said, earlier. So there are certain disciplines. Okay, you are talking more about religious things, and so eventually it becomes spiritual, where you follow certain discipline and it becomes part of your life, and it eventually grows as faith in Swami. When you continue to do that, you see that there are a lot of opportunities that comes your way, like getting into a bhajan group or getting opportunity to sing in front of Bhagwan. When you sing Brahmanda Nayaka and Swami right in front of you in physical form, the feeling is something different, and it doesn't come automatically, but through it is a process where you have been through the grind of a Balvika or some system, and then you graduate to some level, get Swami's love, and then again your parents' dedication or whatnot. You get an opportunity to sing at a few, perform at a few instances, offer in front of Bhagwan. So it is a process, and these are all of these put together, improve your faith, over a period of time. So it's just not, for some it is just a miracle, for some it is a process, and and you see Swami in close quarters, and it also improves when Swami comes to Sundaram, or you are with part of the Seva group when Swami is bringing students, for example, MBA students, he will bring to Chennai for some industrial or some training, and then Swami will call them into the small bhajan hall where the delegates will come. If this MP is going to come, the CEO is going to come, he's going to ask you this question, he's going to ask you this question, be prepared with the answer. And you see Swami's love, and then try to encourage, train the children and students. And at that time, it doesn't immediately get into you, but over a period of time, when you contemplate, then you feel that how Swami's love is, and your faith grows along with it. So that's been my experience.
As Brother Sadiq said, earlier one look was enough. Now, even a screen doesn't work. Even if you answer a kid will these days say, yeah, but mommy, I just need to go and check in Chat GPT, Google, and to all the kids here, we're not saying don't do that, but have faith in yourself, in your parents, and most of all, in God. Brother David, if you don't mind, we just have one last topic before we cover that. I know we are running late, but can we? Yeah. Everything's okay. I know the budget team, I know you didn't have budgets planned, but can we take a couple of more minutes, please? Before we start, how many of you actually felt Swami was here today? Any hands up from the heart? Okay, good to see so many of you actually felt Swami's presence. Swami is always omnipresent. It is just how we see or how we feel. And our last topic that we want to touch upon today is Swami's omnipresence. Start with Brother Village.
Swami's omnipresence again, and as Brother Satish was talking, it's again very individual journey. I remember this in Kodaikanal. There was one afternoon where Swami wanted to give saris and dhotis and all of this to some of the people, some of the devotees. So he started out saying, okay, let's start distributing. So the distribution went on 30, 45, 50 odd minutes. And at one point, and then after that it was followed by prasadam distribution. So at one point, Swami asked the boys, as everyone got, and the boys had covered literally 200, 300 odd people who were gathered there. And he just said, yes, Swami, we have covered everything. Swami asked for the second time, has everybody been covered? Now, if Swami was to ask you for the second time, there has to be something in it. It's not going to be just. Now, this is where the learning that we were going through was the fact that Swami is physically here, right in front of you asking, but Swami is present in his omnipresence form everywhere. So the answer should have been more like, Swami, will go and check. Because Swami said, are you sure anybody has been covered? But these boys, in their excitement, again said, no, Swami, we got everything. We've seen the last row and we literally got everything. After that, Swami calls out Prabhupada sir and says, get my golf cart. And Swami says, pack a few dhotis and saris. And Swami steps out in his golf cart, goes out. He steps out, takes a couple of roads on the left side of the Sai Shruti residence, if some of you have seen Aradhana. And then there is this group sitting over there who had come walking from one of the nearby districts in Tamil Nadu to have Swami's darshan. And Swami personally goes and hands over this sari in particular. So the fact that Swami is present physically, even in his physical form when he was there, he was still present in his omnipresent form everywhere else. And our journey is about telling ourselves that truth, that look, Swami is not there in physical, but he is there, he is very much there. And then behaving accordingly as to how he would behave if he was to be there in the physical form. I think that is a journey, and it's something sometimes we might, it's difficult to implement, but if we kind of keep reminding ourselves that, then I think we are more likely to implement.
Sister Sukupa, if you want to share, how you felt Swami or Swami's own presence along the way.
Thank you. I'll be brief. Only Swami's omnipresence, Swami's omnipotence, his own powerfulness, and Swami's omniscience, his all-knowing nature. These three go hand in hand. And Sister Pipin related her experience about being followed home. I think all of us can relate to this, feeling in danger and calling on Swami and Swami saving us. And I have those experiences as well. But for me, the one I want to share with you very quickly is that when Swami went his physical form, I started to travel. I didn't go so much to Puducherry as I had gone before, because Swami's form was not there. Initially, it was not attracting me. When I started to travel, I began to appreciate Swami in nature. I remember we were coming down from the mountain from Darjeeling. There were so many thousands of feet above sea level. It was a sheer drop on one side. It was terrible. I couldn't look out the window. These taxi drivers are so skilled. When I looked to the side, I saw pine trees, or whatever trees they were growing from the ground, from sea level upwards. You can imagine how tall these trees are. I just remember focusing my eye on the branch, on the leaf on the branch, and thinking, Swami, you're in that leaf. I think sometimes, we're in Puducherry, we see Swami's tiny form. We're in the center and we see Swami up there, so beautiful, so cute, so glorious. We don't realize how great, how magnificent he actually is. Similarly, when I was on the ocean, as many of you have been, snorkeling under the water, under the sea life. It is awesome. This word is very overused by us, awesome. But it is truly awesome. It leaves you in awe of the greatness of Swami, and that is what I think when I think of all the presence of Swami.
Just a quick story from me. I used to work in Dubai for like 6 years, and when I left Singapore to come to Dubai, it was a complete change for me because, as you know, we are so involved in the center and its activities and just size basically our life. So when I first went to Dubai, there was nothing. There was no. It was a complete cut-off for me, and I felt really isolated and quite sad and things like that. So obviously I put in the work and I looked around at housing centers there and things like that. And because of my schedule, I couldn't go every week. But on the weeks that I could go, I felt so dejected. I knew that this was not for me, and it was a number of reasons. But I was not happy at all going for Bhajans there. And I stopped eventually, and that feeling of dejection just carried on. And I was like, well, what am I going to do now? There's nothing here for me left. And then a couple of weeks after that, I kind of gave up really on Bhajans or going to Bhajans in Dubai. And
yeah, 2 days after that, I met a colleague who became a very close personal friend of mine, and he said, okay, come to church with me. So for 2 years, I worshipped Swami as Jesus. I mean, obviously he was still Swami, but the fact that it didn't change for me, the worship and the faith was still there in a different form, kind of showed me his omnipresence, kind of showed me that, yeah, this is the real deal. Whoever I pray to, you are there for me.
So again, coming to Bhajans every week, is a reflection of that. One of the experiences is, basically, if I want to say, I was traveling on A1M for a meeting. I'm very, very bad with the years and whatnot. So that was on the motorway, and then I was in 70, just about 70. Yeah. And no, not yet. Speed. So I was driving, and then it was on the motorway, and then I just passed the trailer, and then suddenly I can see that I'm losing control, and the tire burst, and then the car actually made not a somersault, but the Himalaya dropping. And he was not traveling, but he had that similar experience. So the car I just lost control, and then the car just spun and then hit the median, and then I was facing the other side of the motorway, and in all this process, actually I was not listening to bhajans, I was listening to film songs in the car, but then subconsciously I was thinking about a couple of bhajans that was similar to that tune of the film song. So you are subconsciously thinking about bhajans and Swami somewhere, and then that happened just during that time when you were thinking, and I was still in control. Just wanted to put it as a statement. And this happened. You lost control, and the train just went past. It was just probably a couple of seconds, if that, I don't know what would have happened. So physically, in an earthly level, I feel that was a miracle, and I felt Swami's omnipresence that Swami has taken care in that situation. In saving my life, I would say. But that said, again, spiritually, us to the center Swami's omnipresence is felt in every stage of your life, be it moving from India to here and settling, making the families settled, or us being part of the Sai organization coming here every week in and week out, and how Swami is taking care of us, is proof that Swami's omnipresence is there.
To end, we just ask Sister Denisha and Brother Mansukha if we can share experiences. And sorry, I don't want to say that, but just keep short and sweet. Silent everyone. Listening to everybody said my experience is not very far off anybody. And mine personally is it's 13 years old, and I've never shared this with anybody. So for me, this is very very close to Swami. And like coming to the UK, obviously, like everyone else, we have our struggles and our challenges. Me having my sons very close in age, I never thought it would be a challenge itself. I don't know whether you can put it after a year having postnatal depression, so probably it's one of those things I had. But that's like after a year. And I couldn't tell the signs of the postnatal depression.
depression because I'm a very public character myself anyway. Love and always making friends along the way. And so I think it's just getting on with life. And I think being alone, totally alone, with no family and no friends. And I think that could be quite daunting for somebody. And I was getting on, started nursery, and I didn't realize children start at 3 years old. So, sending him to nursery at 3 is still my baby. So, and I did. Then I had the other one at home. But then it's just, as I said, just getting on with it. But there was one day that I was just sitting on the sofa, and then I just started to cry. And cry, and cry, and cry. And I realized, well, something is not right, And I tried to shake it off. I tried to do everything. It was just crying non-stop, day in and day out. So obviously it's some kind of postnatal depression, and where you want to resent everything. And, so obviously my husband was very supportive, but then I think it was my journey. It was my journey alone and my challenges alone. So all I did was, it's like the faith was there, Swami's love was there was no doubt about that. All I started to do was started to read and read Swami's literature. Swami's teachings, it's like, read my literature. I was just reading, I was just doing the Gayatri Mantra, 100-day chants. I did that every day, every minute of the day. And what? So that's all Swami's teachings, daily meditation, quantum singing, spiritual reading, all that. So, and I actually, for that time, when I was going through that bad patch, I was really at a low point in my life. And all this, I just started to do it every single day religiously. Not like I wasn't doing it, but it was quite of an intense version of it. And I was doing it and doing it and doing it. And then I felt that was my safe place. That was very safe to me. If I didn't do it, I felt I wasn't safe. I needed to go back to that. And I did it religiously, read every spiritual book, and all those books I still have. Because of what happened then, is I can appreciate what I'm experiencing now. So everything that happens to you later on in life, where you're at, is the reaction of all those things. Anyway, all that happened, and this one night I think I was sleeping. I was in deep sleep. And even though all this was happening, it was a deep sleep. Obviously I had a vision of Swami. And I could see him standing there while I was sleeping. And next minute I could feel this energy, something close right next to me. And it just touched me. I just felt that touch, and I got up. I just got up and I'm thinking, it's a dream. It's like it's a dream. And I felt that touch. And I will never forget that. As I said, I think till I die, I felt that touch. And then I got up and I'm thinking, it's a dream. But then Swami knows. He knows that I'm finding all this vitality. You're in a state of depression, right? But if you have so much of faith and love and dedication throughout your whole life, and you have a moment, that's where it shines. That's where you feel it, because you're using all that. You're using all Swami's knowledge, all his teachings, everything you came across in your heart. You're putting it into practice, not like you haven't done it. And then that Sunday, I think I got up, dressed up, came to the center. That was our old center. I walked in, there was hardly anyone at the center. Surabhi Ben won't remember this, but she was there. She was there and she said, "Sister, would you light all the candles for me?" So I went up and I lit all the candles. After that vision of Swami coming to the center, lighting the candles, I looked at him and I said, he said, "I know." To me, it's like, I know. And ever since then, automatically, even though I was still reading, still chanting, still doing everything, those feelings, those challenges eventually just disappeared and vanished on its own. And never came back. And even though I wouldn't even allow it to come back, it never came back. Because being here 16 years, 16 and a half years now, life is challenging. And Swami is my mother and my father because both my parents are not here, but my dad's late. So without him, without his guidance, I wouldn't be where I am today. You know? So that's my experience with Swami. And keeping a positive mind is harder than being negative because it's easy to give up. It's easy to give up. Staying positive is harder than being negative. If you have a positive mind and a pure heart, everything else will follow. Saira,
Thank you for sharing that personal knowledge. It was very nice. And Swami says to have faith, you also need to obey his commands. So we have to keep practicing what he says. Brother Mansi, if you want to.
Okay, Saira, I thank Papa for giving this opportunity just to share one or two of my experiences. I try to keep it very short. We are already running over time, and please forgive me. This is just to say that having visited Puttaparthi a few times before, it's lovely to see Swami there. But then after Swami left his physical form, there was a different reaction in my heart. And then it was 8 years after Swami had left the form that I went to Puttaparthi. And this time, I just had a feeling that Swami, you are here, but how do I know you are here? That was deep in my heart. And the thought that occurred was, I was seeing people taking flowers and putting on the samadhi. And a thought just flashed across my mind. I said, Swami, I haven't even wrote you a petal, let alone a flower, let alone a garland. And at that time, the Rudram chanting was going on in full flow. This thought just came in my mind. And within a short time, somebody walked across to me and put a beautiful garland. It was like a wreath. It was quite big, quite thick, with tulsi petals and beautiful yellow flowers. And I just looked at him, I was stunned. He said, this is for you. He put it gently in my lap and he walked up. It's so strange, I never saw him again. Then I went to when I put the floral bouquet and then in front of the samadhi, I started crying. I thought, how did you even know that this thought came? Right? And then I came back and I told Savita, my wife, after the darshan, I said to her, this is what happened. She said, we know it is our wedding anniversary. Now I hadn't forgotten, but Swami hadn't, because he knows our innermost thoughts. Then after that, I was coming back to London. We decided to stop at a mandir, the Sai Baba's mandir in cantonment, where there was vibhuti and various miracles were happening. Vibhuti was emerging from photos and kumkum and what have you. As Prashadam, as a token, they had given little tablis, little plastic containers with the vibhuti and kumkum and haldi. I brought that, and they said at that time that sometimes miracles do happen, even with these. So a thought flashed across my mind. A kingdom would be nice, but it just went. I didn't think of it again. We ran in London, and in my excitement, as I was taking out things, I said to Amit and my family, Avisha, I said, I brought this vibhuti emerging from photos, so nice. I would like to share it with you. As soon as I picked up that dawi, before it was only half empty, suddenly it became heavy. And I started shaking. And I opened it, and inside was a beautiful lingam, just fitted exactly the size of the dawi. It was charcoal black. And as I took it out, its color changed. And it became honey colored. And not alone that, It was transparent in one direction and translucent in the other. Beautifully polished stone and tapped wine. And I was shaking. And I just said, look what's happened. And you won't believe, at home, we come from Greece. At home we had a little pedestal. That's where we could keep a lingam. A circular disc with a depression in it. This lingam fits exactly in it. And it just makes me feel that, Swami was reassuring us that he hasn't gone anywhere. He's with us. As long as you believe he is with you, and you have pure thought, Swami will ensure that, he will fulfill your innermost desire, even without you having to contemplate on it. As long as it's pure, Swami will take care of it. Jai Sai.
I'd like to thank all the panelists for their experiences and everybody else in the audience who shared. Just a last minute, some quick takeaways from today's discussion for all of us to try and practice. One is, try and appreciate and see God in nature, for sure. Let's try and respond and not react. Let's surrender every little thing that we can. And, we pray to Swami, keep showering His love on us. Let us learn to love others as well and surrender and keep growing our faith. Thank you for your patience. Sai Ram everyone.
సామాన్యంగా ఈ రూపాన్ని గురించి మీరు కేవలం మానవత్వం కదా అని సహజంగా మీకు మీరు అలక్ష్యం చేస్తూ ఉండవచ్చు. లేకపోతే వ్యక్తి యొక్క భేదభావంతో చుట్టూ పోవచ్చు. మానవత్వంగా మీరు విశ్వసించవచ్చు. కాదు కాదు, నేను దేహం కాదు, నేను మనసు కాదు, నేను బుద్ధి కాదు, నేను చిత్తం కాదు, నేను అంతఃకరణ కాదు, ఏది కాదు నేను.
It's only possible for God to show all 15,000 mantras. No human can do it. Because you find Bhagavan moving with us so frequently and closely, we may take him as a human. No, he's not the body. He is not the mind. The body of Bhagavan has come for the humanity. Let's for example. Education, knowledge, but do you have the wisdom? Though there is intelligence, there you need a guru. Likewise, all are present. Bhagavan is amidst us to tell us what is truth, what is Brahman, what is eternal, what is that is fleeting, what is transient.
మీరు నిజంగా ఏదైనా అహంకారం చెప్తారు, నా సత్యాన్ని నేను వెల్లడి చేస్తున్నాను.
Bhagavan is declaring his own truth today.
మీకు ఏమాత్రము మా సంగతి కించిత్తేనంత తెలుసుకోలేదు.
You have not learned even a fraction of Bhagavan's name.
నా తత్వం ఇంటిని అంటే ఎవరికి అర్థం కాదు.
Nobody can estimate Bhagavan.
నేను మగవాడిగా ఉంటాను.
That is a man among men.
అనగా వారి కోసం చూసినప్పుడు మగవాడిగా ఉంటాడు.
Among men he is a
ఆడవారిగా ఉంటాడు.
He is a woman among women.
పిల్లలుగా ఉంటుంటారు.
He is a child among children.
ఒంటరిగా ఉన్నప్పుడు బ్రహ్మగా ఉంటాడు.
All alone Bhagavan is Brahma.
ఈ ఇది నా యొక్క సత్యం.
This is the truth of Bhagavan.
ఎందుకంటే దీనిగా నటించాలి, వారిగా నటించాలి, పిల్లలుగా నటించాలి.
Because he should be appropriate to the company where he is in.
అదే రీతిగా పిల్లల దగ్గర నేను బొమ్మలు పెట్టి చూసినట్టుగా వాళ్ళకి అది ఇది ఇవ్వటం చేయడం, ఈ విధంగా వాళ్ళ పిల్లలు సంతోషపెట్టుకుంటారు.
So among children he has got all the play of a child.
వేదాంత డిపార్ట్మెంట్ వారికి వేదాంతమే బోధిస్తుంటారు.
Those who have got the deep yearning for Vedanta, he teaches the code of conduct to the household. He teaches the priority of the state. What for all this? Only to see that we will all be in Swami, with Swami. It is all your good fortune that you could be here. Such a good fortune was not there at any point of time.
ఇలాంటి పరిస్థితుల్లో కూడా మీరు చక్కగా తెలిసినటువంటి దాన్ని చెప్పినటువంటి దాన్ని మీరు నడుచుకుంటారంటే ఎంతైనా మీ యొక్క భాగ్యం అనుకోండి.
Really speaking, if you follow what all that we hear, you can redeem your life.
Sai, this concludes today's program, and there is a Mahotsavam served in the dining area. I request everyone to go and take the prasadam. Thank you.